There are some movies that just find a way to latch onto you. You can't help but revisit them like you would an old friend, either as a surefire cure for boredom, or to relive a specific emotion you don't want to soon forget. A type of visual comfort food. But there are also movies you prefer to only see once. You decide to admire them from a distance, but remain thankful for the experience they brought you. Even after several years and several life changes ago, you've realized that these movies still follow you. At least the good ones. As we find ourselves starting a new decade, I felt like taking a look back at the movies that have left an impression on me, and that I plan to keep carrying in this new decade. An assortment of movies I know I will rewatch, and will always find a chance to recommend to the people around me. Here's my list of my 10 favorite movies of the decade. Some light spoilers may follow.
You're going to jail, Bart! Ah, watch out!
As anyone who grew up watching Toy Story, the third installment brought us an important lesson in closure. This was one of the first times going into a movie that I was already very invested in the characters, so when we reached the ending, I was not really ready for it.
My cowboy!
Woody? What's he doing in there?
For a split second, I was conflicted with what I wanted Andy to do and what I knew he should do. I could hear my 8-year-old inner monologue resisting Andy's decision to give Woody away. But in that moment, my 20-year-old self interceded and accepted that it was time to move on. It was the first time I ever felt that inner conflict so vividly coming from a film. I was surprised by how the movie managed to play with my emotions so effectively that it even allowed me to have a small realization. The little boy that wished for a Woody toy each Christmas long ago had grown up.
Was I rushing or was I dragging? Count again.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rushing or dragging?
Rushing.
So you do know the difference!
There are some parts in this movie that are so tense, I even forgot to breathe. Andrew is a determined drummer in a very sought-out position in his school's jazz group. He aspires to be the best, but first, he has to go through the trial-by-fire approach of his abusive teacher Fletcher.
Look up here, look at me. Do you think you're out of tune?
Whiplash is such a captivating movie that you feel you're in the same room as the main character, getting berated by Fletcher. He has such a strong presence in the frame that you as the audience member fear for the characters making a mistake or playing the wrong note. The movie succeeds in doing what a lot of bigger films wish they could, albeit with a small cast and smaller stakes.
There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job.
It has a great villain with a gripping story that makes the tension in a room palpable and a mesmerizing ebb and flow. It all builds towards one of the best finales of any movie, and once it reaches its climax, it doesn't overstay its welcome, leaving us wanting an encore.
Well, dreams, they feel real while we're in them, right? It's only when we wake up that we realize something was actually strange.
Off the heels of The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan quickly became my favorite director of the early 2010s, and Inception further cemented that. It's a movie that puts Nolan's best qualities to use, bringing us an imaginative large-scale art house feature. An incredibly hard movie to make, not just because of the grand scope of the project, but for the simple reason that the subject matter is difficult to put on the screen. Think about it. How do you portray dreams in a realistic manner? He had a clear inspiration from Satoshi Kon's Paprika, but even at that, it's animation, where the abstract is easier to bring to life. Nolan manages to grab the elusive, malleable nature of dreams, and makes it almost tangible by giving it rules and a structure. It's a very Cartesian take on dreams. The rules act as guardrails, not restrictions, so the movie stays in a science fiction world and doesn't go the extra step into fantasy or veer into surrealism, so our suspension of disbelief remains in check. Nolan is a great director with a great technical vision, but I must admit, someone else has come along and dethroned him.
Dr. Banks? You can start.
If there's a director that has truly proven himself this decade, it's Denis Villeneuve. He's been consistent since his first internationally praised movie, Incendie, and has kept pushing forward, making a solid filmography that would be the envy of any director. From the surreal Enemy, to the dramatic Prisoners, to the brutal Sicario, and the contemplative Blade Runner 2049. He's been only honing his craft. He doesn't get lost in the scope of his movies and opts to let the characters take center stage and not the inhuman events they are facing, which brings us to Arrival.
There are days that define your story beyond your life. Like the day they arrived.
There are many ways Arrival could have just been another alien invasion movie, either by focusing on the invasion part or the intricate narrative the movie has. It could have easily overwhelmed itself by its own plot. But here, all the sci-fi elements are meant to enhance the character's emotional realizations. Even if it's a movie about aliens, what's in the foreground is the much more relatable human decisions and the emotional bonds that can connect us across the unknown. Another movie that does something similar with its science fiction elements is Her.
I think I've felt everything I'm ever gonna feel. And from here on out, I'm not gonna feel anything new.
In a distant future, Theodore is struggling with a divorce and has withdrawn himself to the bitter comfort of loneliness until Samantha comes into his life, an operating system.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. How you doing?
Theodore and Samantha's mutual curiosity evolves into an emotion-based relationship that somehow feels genuine and never turns into a joke. Samantha actually feels real, even if she's just a voiceover.
I want to learn everything about everything. I want to eat it all up. I want to discover myself.
Yeah, I want that for you too.
The science fiction aspect is non-intrusive, but complementary to what the movie is trying to examine with romance. Her is a tender introspective meditation on relationships, what we live during the highs and lows, and how we're left to process them when they've expired. Spike Jonze's most personal movie comforts us with its shared sting of heartache and invites you to cherish what once was and not to wallow in it. If there's one actor that keeps impressing me with his work, it's definitely Joaquin Phoenix. He thrives in character studies of the broken and forgotten. From the PTSD-riddled hitman Joe in You Were Never Really Here, to the unpredictable and repressed Arthur Fleck in Joker, to the unyielding spirit of Freddie Quell in The Master. He's in a league of his own, but one can also appreciate the vulnerable quietness of Theodore in his admirable near-solo act in Her.
Now, the fact that you'll turn into an animal if you fail to fall in love with someone during your stay here is not something that should upset you or get you down. Just think as an animal you'll have a second chance to find a companion.
If you've been a fan of this channel, then you know we have a sweet spot for weird movies. And The Lobster definitely fits that bill. It has an original premise that would spark the curiosity of anyone that would read its synopsis. In a world where being single is illegal, a recently divorced man is taken to a hotel where he has to find a new partner in less than 40 days. If he fails to do so, he will be turned into an animal.
Now, have you thought of what animal you'd like to be if you end up alone?
Yes, a lobster.
Why a lobster?
It's a funny, dark, clever, and disturbing allegory that magnifies the urgency society creates around modern relationships. If you haven't fallen for Yorgos Lanthimos' dark charm yet, this might be a good start, but I have to admit, his morose quirkiness might put some people off. If you welcome that sort of thing, then this bizarre outlook will feel refreshingly unique.
For decades, this is where the federal government has...
There's been a revival in the American horror movie genre. It's an answer to the lackluster and mediocre state the genre found itself in the early 2000s, moving away from slashers and gore-centric kills. This new batch seems to be more thought out and actually has something to say, giving them a longer-lasting shelf life beyond a cheap scare. Some of my favorite examples are The Witch, It Follows, and Get Out, all coming from very inspired, mostly first-time directors that prove they know what they're doing. Though my favorite American horror movie has to be Hereditary.
'Many forget. This is where the federal government has... There's been a revival in the American horror movie genre. It's an answer to the lackluster and mediocre state the genre found itself in the early 2000s, moving away from slashers and gore-centric kills. Some of my favorite examples are The Witch, It Follows, and Get Out, all coming from very inspired, mostly first-time directors that prove they know what they're doing. Though my favorite American horror movie has to be Hereditary.
Writer-director Ari Aster shows that he understands how to tap into our primal fears and to exploit them to his whim. He knows how to scare you when you least expect it and create lasting images that will haunt you for weeks. Watching this movie in the theater was quite an experience. Once the car scene hits, you could have heard the pin drop, followed by the shared acknowledgement of the present audience that we were in for a ride we didn't sign up for. It's a relentless atmosphere that doesn't let you go, a new standard in horror movies, and one that will inspire many filmmakers. Now, when it comes to Korean horror movies, my favorite is The Wailing. A clumsy police officer is investigating a series of odd murders in the small town of Gokseong. Mild-mannered townspeople seem to have become infected with some unknown illness that makes them go violent and kill their loved ones. This supernatural occurrence seems to stem from the arrival of an old Japanese man. It's a movie that grabs different genres, puts them in a blender, and serves us something new. I laughed, I got weirded out, laughed again, then felt like I should sit in silence, nursing my recently received gut punch.
누굴 찾아가 건드린 적 없냐고. 나아가 인제까지 본 악질 중에서 갑 중에 갑이요.
At the end of the movie, you will feel very confused. But that's what it's trying to do. We are presented with a mystery that once it's revealed to us, will still remain obscured. It shows that when faced with something you don't understand, certainty becomes elusive. Segueing onto another Korean movie, the recently released and much praised Parasite has bounced off my best of 2019 list and has found prime real estate in this video. I won't repeat what I've already said, so I will simply add that I'm very glad to see this movie is getting so much love and attention.
진짜? 잡혔어?
잡히지? 이거 커피나라 투지. 이 근처에 카페 새로 생긴 건가?
This movie seems to have become an entry point to Korean movies to many people, much like how Oldboy was in the early 2000s, although I feel this is much more accessible. I'm glad that a lot of people are starting to discover Korean cinema. I really hope to make a video essay diving into this movie sometime this year. So again, just watch the film. Now for a lateral move to another Cannes Palme d'Or recipient.
맞다 이래요. 네. どうしたの? ママは?
There is so much I want to say about this film, but I fear my explanation would just ruin someone's experience. So for those who haven't seen it, just look at the poster, read the synopsis, and don't listen to what I'm about to say, because trust me, this movie is much better if you go in cold.
誘拐である。どう見ても。
映画関係も身代金要求もしないし。
Shoplifters is indirectly deceptive. You feel the story is going to be about a poor hard-luck family overcoming the struggles of their social class, kind of like a lot of feel-good triumphs of the human condition. But then it takes a hard left turn that rivals the likes of Parasite. Here the filmmaker uses your own assumptions, so you can fool yourself into seeing something that's not there. And it's so subtle that I'm at awe of the simplicity of the sleight of hand and the effectiveness of the magic trick. We're used to twists to hit us with the same finesse of a dump truck, but this one unravels as a slow-burning realization. It's heartwarming until it becomes soul-crushing, and it's inspiring until it wrecks you. Just as how the family are experts at conning, so will the movie beautifully mislead you.
好きだから叩くんだよなんてのはね、嘘なの。好きだったらね。好きだったらね。こうやってやる。
What movies will follow you into the next decade? Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. We invite you to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You didn't find one of your favorite movies here? Well, check out our Letterboxd account to view our more expansive list of recommendations. Today's musical composition was made by Eduardo Gonzalez. If you like his work, you can find his information down in the description below. And also, if you want to contribute to our channel so we can keep making videos like this one, you can take a look at our Patreon page. Until next time.